Welcome back. Children, in the last class, we have done force. Today, we will do pressure. Now, what is pressure? Thrust acting per unit area is called pressure. So, pressure is defined as the thrust acting per unit area. Now, what is this thrust? What is this thrust? Thrust is the force which acts perpendicular to a surface. So, thrust is defined as the force which acts perpendicular to a surface. So, if the surface is horizontal, then this force which acts perpendicular to this surface, this is called as thrust. If the surface is this one, supposing this is a wall, then the force which acts perpendicular to the surface, this will be called as thrust. So we can write force is equal to thrust by pressure is equal to thrust by area. Now, pressure can also be defined as force acting per unit area. So, in place of thrust, you can also write force. So, P is equal to F by A. Force equal to force by area. Now, here you can see that pressure is directly proportional to force. What does the mean? What is the meaning of directly proportional? Means if the force increases, pressure will increase. If the force decreases, then pressure will decrease. On the other hand, pressure is inversely proportional to area. That means if area increases, then pressure will decrease, and if area decreases, pressure will increase. So you must remember this. So pressure is directly proportional to force. Pressure is inversely proportional to area. So for this reason, there are many day-to-day examples which we use with the help of this application. The application of pressure is utilized in our day-to-day life. Now, let us go through some examples. You must have seen that camels are widely used as a mode of transport in desert area. Now, question is, though we know that horses run much faster than camels, still, why camels are used frequently instead of horses? The reason is that in a desert, soft sand is there on the surface. Now, the hoof of a horse has a much less area than the hoof of a camel. So, the total pressure exerted by the weight of the camel is much less than the pressure exerted by the hoof of a horse. So if a horse runs on the desert, half of its leg will sink inside the sand. Whereas when a camel runs, its feet will not sink much on the sand. Similarly, you must have seen that the school bags which you carry on your shoulder, it has wide straps made of cloth instead of strings or ropes. Why so? Because when the width of the strap increases, it decreases the pressure on your shoulder. So you can carry the bag easily and comfortably. Third example. All of you have seen that a nail has one side pointed, another side blunt or wider. When you hammer a nail on the wall, the pointed end is placed in contact with the wall and the hammer is allowed to hit on the wider end. Now why is it so? The pointed end has a very less area. So with little force of the hammer, maximum pressure is exerted on the wall and the nail easily goes through the wall. If you try to do the opposite, you will find that the nail will never go inside the wall, rather the nail will bend. Right? Similarly, you must have seen that when you use a knife for cutting any vegetable or a fruit, you always apply the sharp edge of the knife on the vegetable or the fruit. Why so? Because if you look at the edge of the knife, which is very sharp, it appears just like a thin hair. That means the total area of that edge is extremely less. So as soon as you apply little force, it can easily cut through the vegetable or the fruit. But if you try to do the same thing with the blunt side of the knife, you will find it is very difficult to cut the same vegetable or the fruit. Clear? So many examples are there which we are using every day based on this application of pressure. Some more examples. The buildings have a very wide base than the walls. Why so? Because if the wall has less area, then gradually in course of time it will exert a lot of pressure on the ground. As a result, the building will slightly sink, will go on sinking in the ground. But if the base or the foundation of the building is made very wide, that is the reason why the foundation of the building or a wall is made very wide, so that the total area which is in contact with the surface of the ground is made more, so that least pressure is exerted on the ground, and this will not allow the building to sink in the ground. You must have also seen that railway tracks are laid on sleepers. What is the reason? That is because the heavy weight of the engine and the whole train, as it moves, due to the weight, excess pressure will be exerted on the ground and then the railway track will sink. But whenever the sleepers are laid and over the sleepers the railway tracks are laid, the total pressure exerted on the ground is greatly reduced. As a result, the tracks will not sink on the ground. So many examples I told you. Now, let me tell you the unit, SI unit of pressure. SI unit of pressure is Newton per meter square or Pascal written as PA. Clear? So, remember, Newton per meter square or Pascal is the SI unit of pressure. Clear, children? So, whatever I have taught you today, please go through your book. And this is all about pressure in solids. In our next class, we will do pressure in liquids. Bye till the next class. Thank you.